Welcome everyone to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Tim. Oh, Tim's trying to be cool today. This is another guest top 10 episode. We have joining us from the Berated B-Rated Movie podcast, we have Brian. Say hello, Brian.
What is going on, everybody?
And we also have Anthony.
Hey.
So welcome to the show, guys. Yeah, it's all official, and here we're going to talk about Christmas horror movies. Our two guests have assembled a combined Christmas horror top 10 list that we're going to work through and see what they have picked for those. We've not done a particular top 10 for this list yet, Tim, yet. But we have reviewed a lot. I don't know, words are hard, shut up. But we have reviewed a lot of Christmas horror films, so I suspect we might recognize some of these entries as they come up. So I don't know if you guys want to sort of just explain what your podcast is, explain what your show is to our audience.
Which I'm really interested in hearing, because Pete gives me no prep for these episodes. Like, it would have been nice maybe if you would have told me the name of the podcast so I could listen to some episodes, but...
Right.
You could have asked.
Podcast with everything and everybody now. Right, Anthony, you want to take it? Where to go?
You go ahead. You kick it off.
All right. So, no, what we do is we watch like indie or B-rated horror movies, and we actually narrate through them and tell jokes, and we, tell people what's going on with the movie, and we make our own comments, do it as well. It's doing pretty well. We've had a couple people on them, but yeah, for the most part, that's pretty much it. It's kind of like I think our end goal. What was that?
So it's like a commentary track almost. Like you can throw the movie on, watch it with you, kind of thing.
Yeah, so you can do either both, actually. Yeah. So we start out just doing like making comments about it. Then we had some of our people that were listening to it like, you know what, maybe you should narrate through it too, because people that, it's like one of our listeners, they just sit at their office and they just listen to it. They're like, we don't know what's going on because you guys are just making jokes about it. So then we're like, you know what, maybe we start narrating through it. And as soon as we started narrating it and then telling the jokes, that's when it started going, our numbers started going a little bit higher than what, quicker, I should say, as well. So, yeah, so now you can
Pete, are you jotting these ideas down? This is...
I'm not here to steal ideas. How dare you?
Right?
Oh, I thought that was the whole point of this. No?
Right.
Don't say it in front of them. Shut up. No, so, I'm hearing a little bit of a mystery science theater sort of premise in here, yeah.
More or less.
Yeah, okay.
With the whole... narrating through it, like you can either, like you were saying, throw it in if you're bored, throw it in, and then watch the movie along with us. We've had a director and an actress. They actually did that through one of their movies. And they're like, "Oh my god, like our face hurts because we're laughing so much." I was like, "Oh, that's great that you guys liked it," Or like I said, there's people that commute like to and from work, like an hour and a half drive. I was like, "Yeah, we can just put your podcast on and then listen to it, like basically." Watch a movie while we're going to work." And I was like, that's hella cool.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. And now, do you two get along? Because I've always been interested in what it's like to do a podcast with someone you get along with.
I think we get along.
Oh, yeah, I think it's hilarious because like we're actually like so. I think if we were the exact same type, then we wouldn't. But I think that we're so opposite of everything that we do and say that we're just like, damn it, it plays off of each other, But yeah, no, I think we hang out outside of our podcast as well, actually. Like I'm only going to see you for 3 hours this week. Get out of my face. I'll see you when it's time. No, again, like we get along really well.
Yeah, Tim, we should be bonding more. Hear this? You hearing this?
No.
Hey, we hung out the one time that you visited this fine country of mine, and
no, we've got our banana hammocks, and I've got a little 3-foot pool out back.
Oh hell yeah!
Drink some mojitos.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Neighbors.
Pete, when are we gonna get some hammocks going?
But they're on top of the priority list, Tim. We'll get some hammocks going at MailFuzz headquarters, shall we? All right. So.
Oh yeah. How about this? I think I just thought of like, holy shit, this is a great question. Like, what would you say? Like, what would be like someone's like best, like if someone wanted to check the podcast out, like is there an episode that you would recommend, like starting off with like, oh man, this is just such a banger of an episode that you're gonna listen to it and get hooked? Like, is there anything like that? Like for us, it would probably be like what, the Leprechaun 3 episode? Like what?
No, it would not. Shut your face.
What do we recommend to people?
No, that's not the worst episode. It's a terrible episode, Tim. What are you talking about?
Hi, Anthony.
I feel like our recent episodes have been really good. I just don't know if we can say the name of the last episode on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Every time I post on Instagram, I get those big warnings like, you will be kicked off if you post this. I'm like, oh,
I was really surprised it let me put the full title on the podcast page.
And everything.
It rhymes with itch and gas.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It was a kind of like Tales from the Hood, Bones type of movie.
Okay.
More fun
like
than serious. It was pretty cool. But the best, I feel like our Feed Me episode was really good.
Ooh, that was pretty fun. Well, I think
I don't know
so.
if you guys know that one.
I don't think I've heard of it.
No, off the top of my head, no.
Feed Me
It was Adam Leader and Richard Oakes are the directors, and the main star was Neil Ward. He basically was based on the story of this German guy that got a guy to sign a contract stating that he could eat him.
I think I heard about, or at least this real story.
The real story,
about it.
Yeah, like it's not an official.
Is one of
story,
your
it's more
relatives?
like
Was it that happened to?
That's what he was on Thanksgiving this last week.
Well,
we also did.
No,
we also did Terrifier. So.
Oh yeah, Terrifier.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, that was a fun one.
I love Terrifier.
So how do you guys like pick out like the movies that you're gonna do? Like, do you just kind of randomly say like, oh, like this looks really bad, like we gotta cover it, or is there like specific stuff that you're aiming for, or is it just like whatever kind of pops up on some like feed or whatever that you see that? Yeah,
I
feel like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
No, go for it, and I'll cut you off.
I feel like the stuff that is like people think is really bad, we can find some value in, and also like poke fun at it, because a lot of the times it's meant to be bad.
Absolutely,
and you can kind of understand that part of the like whole idea. Yeah,
the boy's great.
But
you're the only one who doesn't like the boy, Pete.
There are legions of us. Legions.
Yeah, I think we start out with a list. We still have a very long list of movies that we started out. So, and we're like, we'll get to them, and we'll watch one of the movies. Then all of a sudden, it's like, if you like that, you would like this, and we're like, well, you know what? I did like that. And we'll start doing that, and then we ask, "What's up?"
I'm just making a guess here, but like, are you guys roaming Tubi a lot? Like, are you big? Is it a big Tubi podcast or?
No,
here and there. Some Amazon Prime, some.
Ooh, Prime is tough.
Yeah.
Like,
there's the entire Hulu series.
Into the Dark. We've done a couple of those.
God.
Oh, oof. Yeah, some of those are rough.
Yeah, I decided to not delve into the dark after that first episode. Thank you very much. I think what I want to ask now is just a more general question about just your horror tastes, just some of your favorite horror movies, that kind of thing, just to set the tone for what you actually like. Not even just in terms of B movies, but just good movies you actually think are worth recommending to everyone.
Like we had that question. We were with one of those with one of the directors, and like honestly, like a lot of these indie ones are coming out, and they're actually like they're really really are good. Like, I don't want to say surprisingly, they're great, you know. But as a kid, like I used to watch like all the horror movies, Jason, Freddy, Michael Myers, everybody like that. The only one that ever scared me was Freddy. For some reason, Candyman wasn't nothing. Leprechaun, all those other ones, it wasn't anything. And so I started getting this like I don't know, I kind of started losing faith in movies because like we've done every single natural disaster, every single animal has attacked the world, every single, you know, everything's been going on. And so then Anthony's the one that came up with an idea. He's like, hey, let's watch these indie movies and let's have a podcast on it. I was like, okay, I hate my voice, so I guess that's what we'll need to do. So we started watching these movies. And, you know, honestly, like, there are a lot of them. Like Anthony and I, we don't say like we're film critics at all. Like we actually just watch the movies, have a lot of alcohol to drink, and you know, enjoy what we're watching, because there are a lot of them are like, what do you call it? Like super original. It's not the normal, you know, like we like all the slasher films, the camp films and stuff like that. But unless they do some super cool stuff in them, like everybody's not a camp film, you know. But the ones that we've seen, the indie ones, they're great. You know, Bloody Bible Camp, Bloody Summer,
Bloody Bible Camp, yeah.
You know, so the indie ones where it's kind of like, you know, you kind of compare them to like college ball versus the NBA. Like there's so much more dunks and hardcore plays in college ball than the NBA because they're trying to prove themselves to get to the NBA. Where the NBA, they're just like, well, I'm already here. I'm not gonna risk hurting myself dunking. You know, well, they were like in the indie films, like they go balls to the wall with these films, and they're like, we are trying to prove ourselves. And so how Anthony just said, like the Feed Me movie, like that's nuts.
And like,
I kind of. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Just to kind of bounce off what you're saying. Like, a lot of times with these movies, you can really tell there's like a lot of passion that goes into it. That where, I mean, it's hard for a lot of filmmakers, especially like, you know, doing low budget stuff, to, you know, always make like a perfect, you know, movie that's gonna really capture like everyone's attention and hit big or whatever. But yeah, I'd much rather watch something with someone that, you know, at least has like ideas and vision and passion for what they're doing versus like, so many, like the worst things that we do on the podcast is like when we just have to do like some very generic like mainstream studio, you know, horror picture. Like, you know, every now and again something surprises you, but so much of it is just like the same stuff over and over again.
It's what we usually describe the difference between watching a mediocre studio film that's like a 5 out of 10, but far more exciting than that is watching something that, you know, like The Room, because it's obviously worse. It's a worse movie. Like, it unquestionably is worse, but he believed in that. And because of that earnestness, it's actually entertaining to watch. So, I mean, that said, I'd love the best of both worlds. Just watch a good movie. But, like, you know, if I'm picking between passionate trash and, you know, mediocre, like, just blandness, I'll take the passionate trash any day of the week. No question. What about you, Anthony? What were some of your favorites?
I have to kind of agree. Like the indies were the ones that kind of stuck with me, but I think I kind of started with like Phantasm, the original one, and then the Fridays the 13th were a lot of my favorites too. It's like before they got into like the 5, the 6, the 7, and then like Nobody Can Have a Personality, and everybody, they were so like kid gloves with everything. And then the one that kind of like ignited a lot of this as I was watching, was it Blood-Sucking Freaks on Joe Bob Briggs?
Oh, yeah. That's was that a British one?
No, it was in New York actually, because that was the one that kind of like, what was it? He described the fact that
wait, I think I know what you're talking about now. But sorry.
With Sardu and and whoever the little guy is, and it's just like bad ballet, and then they like all the there's one vampire or something, and then they call it Blood-Sucking Freaks. It was really weird, but the movie is just it's meant to gross you out and piss you off. and it does exactly what it's supposed to do.
All right. Well, with some introductory stuff out the way,
And maybe Pete, not to put you on the spot, but
Jesus
maybe
Christ.
like I don't know. This is a good idea. Trust me.
I don't know. Sometimes some of the things you come out with, Tim. But please, yes. What's your suggestion?
All I was gonna say is like maybe we can each try to think of like a B movie that we can like recommend at the end of the show, and then maybe obviously we won't hold you to it, but if you ever want to check it out or possibly do it on the show, it's a possible fodder for that. That's all I'm saying, Pete. Jesus.
Okay. Nothing's springing to mind right now. I mean, that's a pretty.
That's why I said we'll wait till the end of the show.
Okay,
like, give your brain some time to think.
All right. Okay.
I
mean, I thought of one, but I'm a quick thinker. I know you would need some time.
Rumpelstiltskin doesn't count, Tim.
It is a good movie, though. You gotta admit.
It's not. It's terrible.
Yeah, if you guys haven't experienced the rump, we highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's the rump. All right.
Sounds like it's not as good as
I think it's almost like impossible to find, but
yeah. Well, with all the introductory stuff out of the way, I think we could start working through the top 10. I would save. Actually, nah. Having a sense of what your honorable mentions are going to be, maybe you shouldn't save them till the end. Usually I say save the honorable mentions till the end so as not to spoil some of the things that won't make the list, but I think in your case you could probably just do the honorable mentions first.
Those are the only ones. I'm going to bring out like posters from my closet. Like, here's the poster for my honorable mention. Every single one of them. That's the only reason why I mentioned it.
All right. Well, I don't know if you guys want to alternate, like announcing the numbers or whatever, but obviously we'll talk about after each entry, and so talk about them. I mean, assuming me and Tim have heard of it. If not, then you can tell us about what it is. But go on then. Hit me with some honorable mentions.
No, we'll wait close to the end, so that way everybody's like, "What the?" Because if they start listening to your honorable mentions, they'll be like, "All right, next episode." They're going to click on it.
Okay, fair enough. In that case, hit me with your number 10. Your number 10. So we're doing top 10 Christmas horror movies. Hit me with one. Number 10. Come on.
I'll start. I'll do the lowest one that I had. The lowest one that I had, and I don't know if it was like, I'm pretty sure there was Christmas music, but it was like a short. It was a short film. It was called Separation. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Can't say I have. No.
Well, it's like when I say like a short film, I think it was like 7-8 minutes long.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm pretty sure that I heard like Christmas music playing in the background. So I told Anthony, I was like, "You think this would count?" And so like going off our other lists, like everything else on our list is so much greater than this one. But basically, what this movie was, what this short was this couple is going through a divorce, and all of a sudden they're sick, and like all of a sudden the guy like has like this big ass rash like on, I don't know, like the left side of his body, right? And then the wife starts getting sick, and she's like, "I just need a good night's sleep, and then tomorrow we're going to the lawyer, and we're gonna sign this divorce paper because we hate each other." So they get in bed, and she's like, "Well, can I sleep in the bed tonight?" And he's like, "Fine, I'll sleep on the couch." She's like, "No, you can sleep in there too, And so when they go to bed, like their body like connects to each other, and like it just looks like there's like a pork loin that connected their sides to each other. And they wake up, and she's like, "Get off of me!" And he's like, "I'm not on you." And then they like separate, and they bleed to death. Yeah, and I think Christmas music starts playing. And it's like, welcome. This is what you get, Pretty messed up movie.
What I'm getting from this is you had 9, and you thought, how can I stretch this to one more movie?
Dude, you had a scene, whatever.
Now, Pete, I might have to explain this to you, but there's two different meanings for the word separation, because they're separating, like as in their marriage, they're separating apart from each other, but then also they're physically separating. I don't know if you got that, but it's a clever title.
Oh, thanks, Tim. I would never have figured that out if you had not informed me of it.
That's what I'm here for.
You're always looking out for me.
Yes.
That sounds dope, though. I don't think I've seen that. So was it like part of an anthology, or is it just like a short? Like
it was just a short. I don't even remember what I think that I was watching I'll tell you what it came on after I watched this other movie. And it came on, and I was like, well, I'm up. I've had a couple drinks in me. I'm going to continue my horror movie, binge. My Halloween, Jesus, my Christmas horror movie binge. And that one came on. It's like, if you like that, watch this. I'm like, all right. And I was like, what? Like that death. I mean, like I said, it was pretty messed up.
I think it does count if you're watching it as part of a Christmas horror binge. That does technically make it a Christmas movie.
It's like up next.
Yeah.
It's not like up next. Here comes spring break. You're like, what? I was just watching Christmas. You know?
All right, let's jump over for number 9 then. What you got, Anthony?
Okay, so for my 9th, I would go with Better Watch Out. It was a 2016, 2017 horror movie. I don't know if you've seen it.
I think so.
The trailer doesn't, the trailer doesn't do it justice. It looked like slightly more lethal Home Alone.
Yeah, no,
Like that's
it took me a second to realize what we were talking about, because so many of these Christmas movies have like similar titles. I was like, okay, I think I know which one this is, but I'm going to have to wait until I hear some of the description just to lock it in. But so I'm assuming this is the one where the kid turns out to be the villain quite early on.
Yeah,
right.
Like, I love this movie because it feels like, normally, like when a movie feels like two movies, that's when it starts to piss me off, because it just feels like bad storytelling. But in this one, it feels like they're like layering on top of their story, and it does like a really good thing where you get like that fake invasion storyline in the beginning, and then like the girl like susses it out and gets pissed off, and the babysitter, and then that's when he kidnaps his babysitter, and like seeing his like wide-eyed innocence and his brutality in the same person, but not having like a ton of gore, it really worked. Like that, I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I think since it's been a while since we did it, I feel like completely how we came away from it. I think it was like a little mixed, but like I will give it credit where like I was genuinely surprised. Like, when you get that reveal, like I definitely did not see that coming.
The swerve, and we're going to keep these relatively spoiler free, and you can set up the premise and whatever, but just don't talk about the endings or stuff like that. Sorry. But when the premise actually got set up, which I actually didn't know, I went in so cold that when it turned out, the kid's the villain of the movie, I was like, oh, okay, this is your thing, this is your gimmick, because before this it felt like just a typical movie. It was like, okay, all right, and there's things to like in that one for sure. I remember the kid really.
He's good at being a prick.
Yeah, I don't want to say hamming it up, but he was giving it his all.
Yeah, definitely very hateable.
Yes, yeah,
If Jim Ross was saying it, he plays the bad guy to the hilt. Like he goes the extra mile. Like my favorite part is the, like, without saying too much, is the paint can part. When like just like they try it again, and then you get that like feeling, you're like, crap, this is about to be really bad.
Yeah. All right, cool.
And Pete, I just want to say, you're talking about how sometimes you like to go into movies cold. I just want to say that I feel like it's getting harder and harder to do that nowadays because of global warming.
That was a terrible joke. I can only apologize for my co-host.
Global warming is not cool.
Terrible
joke. You can use that one too.
All right, let's jump back over to Brian for number 8.
We go back and forth on it because Pete doesn't believe in it, but
shut up.
All those cows farting, man. That methane is going up there.
Yeah, it's all the cows fart.
All the cows and a little bit Pete.
That's why you have to eat. We do PSAs on our podcast all the time, like don't smoke, kids, or don't be a bully. And so now eat more steak. All right, eat as many cows. Eat a cow a day. All right, save the earth. Peter's going to close you guys down. Sorry, guys. It was nice.
All right, what's your number 8, Brian?
All right. It's rough. Once Upon a Time at Christmas. You guys know that one?
I don't think I know this one.
I don't think I do either.
It's pretty. They have another one that's on our list that it's higher up, but basically this one there is Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus, and Mrs. Claus plays a really good version of like Harley Quinn, you know.
Okay.
And basically Santa
Mr.
Claus. And, what's up?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, instead of like Mr. J, it's like Mr. Claus.
Yeah, for real. It is. They're like, "Where's my man? Here's honey." Yeah. Dude. So basically, it's a great movie altogether because, like, I don't know if you guys know that it's a really shitty Christmas song called like the 12 Days of Christmas, where it's like, you know,
Right.
the first day of Christmas, my true blah 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 blah, you know.
Yeah. Lots of birds.
They killed 12 days in a row, and each
That's
day they
cool.
killed was because of the 12 Days of Christmas.
Oh, I
You know,
like that.
so
Yeah.
we actually got on an episode with the directors and the actors in that one, and I was like, dude, finally, like, somebody made something cool out of that song. Like, that song's only been around for like 70 years, and it sucks every year, worse and worse and worse. So like, we like thank them, where it's like, thank you for finally doing something cool with that song. You know, there's like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, classic song. Where it's like, well, now it's an amazing movie because everybody is going to be like, oh yeah, I remember. They those two kids were making out of Turtle Dove Lane, and then they got murked. You know, yeah, and they chopped off those people's fingers.
I was hoping someone got killed with turtle doves, not that they were just killed in a place called Turtle Dove Lane.
No.
Well, the messed up thing is how they were killed. You know, there wasn't any. You know, they didn't have any pigeons because what's the theory that they were back at their base charging because birds aren't real, right? Isn't that a theory?
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So these kids were there, and there's like, you know, I don't know how tough you guys were in high school, but if I was trying to make out with some chick, make out with some, like, get out of here, I would be like, what are you gonna do? You're covered in blood already, and you have a bloody axe. I'm gonna try to fight you. No, I'd be like, yes, sir. I'm leaving. Getting out. We're gonna go back to somebody's basement, I guess. But no, this kid thought he was gonna be tough, and Santa's like, okay, dude, here you go. Here's an axe for Christmas. I'll see you in hell.
I don't think
so,
has made me laugh harder this year than Tim instantly saying very tough when asked if he was tough in high school.
It is. That's
Hey, you didn't know me, man. I mellowed out a lot since then.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll believe it.
Yeah, what is it? Adderall calms you down?
Yeah. So I just want to throw this out there, but if I don't know if you're aware, but yes, the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt did put out a Christmas album, and he does do a parody version of the 12 Days of Christmas, which is pretty good. So I recommend listening to that.
I did
really.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
The whole album is pretty good, but
Well, we were just like, even with when you guys brought our asses to come on, you know, I was like, Anthony, like, do they even have like 10 movies that are Christmas horror movies? And then all of a sudden we started going down the rabbit hole of Christmas horror movies. I was like, holy hell, you know. So like we found a bunch of them, you know, and so we started watching them. Some were better than the others. Some had great storylines, and some, you know, were like Separation, where it's like, just how are we gonna kill them? We don't have the budget.
You
for
know, honestly, when I said you wanted to do top 10 Christmas horror movies, I wasn't expecting any research to. I asked that the intention being that you'd already, like, you know, kind of have like enough in your head to do it.
I think off the top of our head, Anthony and I, we come up with like four or five incidents.
Yeah.
You know,
Black Christmas,
like,
Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, you know what? What if we just started doing these honorable mentions? And then there's like, hey, we're never going to talk to you guys or invite you on our podcast again. Please, you were on here.
All right. Well,
eventually we're gonna do a full episode for Separation, so we'll have you back for that.
How are you going to make an hour-long episode for something that's 7 minutes?
That was going to be my first question, Tim.
Like, hold on, rewind it again. Okay, yeah, there you see.
What are we doing? Discussing every single frame in detail?
Oh, you'd love that. You're such a frame lover. You're always talking about frames. Admit it.
I talk about aspect ratios a lot. I'll give you that much. But all right, let's jump back over for number 7.
I am gonna go with Silent Night. The who was it? Stephen C. Miller, the director, said it's a remake or a reimagining of Silent Night, Deadly Night. Which
Okay.
I was gonna say, I was gonna say Silent Night, Deadly Night, but I feel like it's just so like you get so much backstory that it like I almost feel like you don't get much like present day. But
So-
this one,
So
yeah, go ahead.
I'm interested in this because I'm a big fan of the Silent Night, Deadly Night series, but I've heard about this. I don't know if it's an official remake or kind of like a quasi remake, but I'm intrigued by this. I would say.
Oh, yeah, it's like I was kind of skeptical at first because usually remakes suck, but like in this one, like this is the remake that doesn't chop the balls off the horror because all the gore is big. It's like you get that mission statement at the beginning of the movie when he like electrocutes this guy to the point that he explodes. Like, it was
like it so far.
pretty awesome.
When was this? When did this come out? Was this like a newish movie?
2012.
Okay, so recent-ish.
It's
So we're
Malcolm
celebrating the 10-year
McDowell.
anniversary this
Oh,
Christmas.
yeah. It's a good one. You'll enjoy it. It's who is it? Malcolm McDowell, Jamie King, and Donal Logue.
Oh, there's
So it's
actual.
got names.
It's got real actors in it. Oh, I thought
Yeah.
this was going to be some like dirt cheap, like nothing movie. But no, I recognize those names.
And they actually make it like more of a, instead of like telling you this whole big deep backstory about one guy and you know exactly who it is, it's more like a whodunit, which is kind of
Okay.
fun.
Nice.
Well, Santa Claus, obviously.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, but there's like 200 Santa Claus in this one small town, which okay, that part to me makes no sense, but
Ooh.
I'll go with it for the purpose of the story.
Oh, sure, yeah, absolutely. Dramatic
So
license.
the edge of Santaverse.
My next one will piggyback off of that.
Wait, hold on. Was that a reference to Spider-Verse or Edge of 17? I can't tell which.
How,
Multiverse.
I don't know how it would be a reference to Edge of 17.
Because you said Edge. I was like, where did the Edge come from?
Well, Edge of Spider-Verse is the comic book.
Is it?
Yes.
It was a straight edge.
Okay, you know what? I'll take your word for it. I don't remember it being called that, but I'll take your word for it.
There's like 50 Spider-Verse comics now ever since the
Sure.
movie, so there has to be at least one named that.
Oh, so now we're guessing. Now we're playing guesswork. See, look at the goalpost moving. They're just moving so Tim can win. All right, let's go back over to number 6.
It's good. Have you guys ever heard of the movie Rare Exports?
Oh yes, yes.
Now we're talking.
All right. See, so that one could, it kind of, that one's one of the ones where I, drink a lot during that movie. So I think at the end of it, we can't tell the end, but yeah, like that whole thing. So can we talk about the movie? So like they're digging into this, they're digging into the mountain because I thought that was Santa Claus's grave, but then that kid goes and, they start putting up that pig head as start doing like guerrilla warfare with the fucking sticks in there. Sorry. That's the first put the stick in the ground. What time is it? 47:15. Notate that one. But put the stick in the ground, and then all of a sudden they put that pig head as the bait, and they're just like, "We're gonna catch them," and you're just like, "Catch who?" Like I thought you were gonna catch like wolves or something, and then you're just like, "Wait a second." Santa doesn't want milk and cookies. He wants pig heads and all this other stuff. And the kids all scared. Because, like, if Santa gets out, and then there's that scene where, like, what do you call it? All those reindeer are just mauled to death. And there's like, oh, it's the Russians digging their mine up there. And you're just like, they would just kill reindeers and be like, all right, guys, let's go drink some vodka.
I mean, Rare Exports is a really interesting movie because it's like, this, I think it's Finnish, what I say? Finnish? Maybe Swedish?
Yeah, it's all done.
Yeah, Swedish.
Swedish? Okay. So, it's kind of taking the idea of like, okay, the real like horrific legend of Santa Claus and like these farmers like trap him. And I will say, like, when I finally saw it, because I knew about it for a few years before I actually watched it, was that it definitely went places I wasn't expecting based on the premise by the end, where it kind of it ended in a very different place than it started, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. When there's like he owes us $87,000 for all these reindeer, and there's like, well, guess what? Now we're going to charge him $17 million, and you're like, that's a big jump. It's a big jump, and you really can't blackmail or bribe Santa Claus because but that kid kept running around in his underwear all the time, and you're just like, hey, put some pants on. It's freaking negative 50 degrees outside, And his dad's like, let's do some chores. He's like, all right, no, put some sweatpants on, man. It's cold outside. Yeah. And then at the end when they,
Right.
Yeah.
And this one was it was also based on
Go ahead, Tom.
yeah, if you haven't seen it, this is based on a short as well. The guy that made it before, he did it. He had like a little short, 5-minute movie or something that I thought was pretty good as well.
Yeah.
Let's extend it.
Yeah.
That's a good time.
Hey, I could add 90 minutes to this, and then we'd have something.
Right. Just show a bunch of him sharpening the twigs for like a good 5 minutes.
All right. Well, let's go over for number 5.
I'm gonna go with Black Christmas, the original.
Oh, hell
of course. Yeah. If you'd said either of the other ones, I'd have been upset with you. So yeah, sure.
I definitely was gonna throw that in there. It was a recommendation from one of the directors we've talked to as like his inspiration for why he got into doing horror films, and so I hadn't never seen it, and I checked it out, and I mean it's like it feels like it's like horror finding its way, which is kind of fun because it's more of the like the roots, but like just listening to that guy on the phone, like he's just unhinged. He's saying like crazy stuff that you would never get away with today in a movie.
It's very grimy feeling. It came out the same year as Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and both those movies were listed by Carpenter as inspirations for Halloween. And you can kind of tell they feel like they are these prototype movies. But yeah, and you've got that like everyone's left for the holidays kind of vibe. So it's just the stragglers that are left behind at the sorority house, all that stuff. Young Margot Kidder in there, in a role.
And I think what sets this apart from like a lot of like Christmas horror movies is like I feel like a lot of the times, like when you're watching a Christmas horror movie, a lot of it is the kind of the shtick of that it's being Christmas, and that we're include all this Christmas stuff. Like this is just legitimately like a good horror movie. Like it could stand on its own without having like any Christmas themes. Like it's obviously I like that all the Christmas stuff is in there, but yeah, like I feel like it could just stand on its own feet if it needed to.
It's a good backdrop, for sure.
Yeah, it definitely felt like people felt like people, as opposed to like walking, talking plot devices. And one of my favorite callbacks as far as jokes is the prefix that she gives him in the police station.
Oh yeah, so I remember.
Then he writes down, like that was great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's John Saxon's in it as well, right? I'm not misremembering that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he's the detective. Yeah.
No. I love Black Christmas. It's one of my favorites, and the only negative I can say is that one of the characters has my name, so I get a little haunted at the end every time when she's running around going Peter, and she's doing like this really weird accent. This is a Canadian movie. Why does she sound like she's from England? What's going on? But yeah, no, really good stuff. I think
it does. What is it? And it does address like major like topics that are politically relevant today, like when you're dealing with the pregnancy stuff. So I thought it was kind of cool, like they were touching on it in a way we would actually talk about it today.
Yeah,
I think pretty relevant.
The big thing for me is just how well directed it is. Like, there's so many. It's not that the deaths are like amazing in a gore sense or not. They're just so visually distinct. Like the bag over the face. So there's a reason why it's used in all the posters. Is it just looks so creepy. It just has this kind of visceralness to it. Not blood or spat or anything like that. Just visceral. That's the way the killer feels with all the obscene phone calls and all that. It just feels so intense. So, that's a great pick. All right. Number 4.
Can I take hosts, Anthony?
Get it?
Hosts. Have you seen that one?
The seance on Zoom, that one.
No, that's just host.
No,
That's
no,
fine.
no.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. This one is the same people from Feed Me. They made it. So basically, the story is this guy and his girlfriend, fiance, they go over to their neighbor's house for Christmas dinner, and before they do that, something happens to them, and they go over to have dinner with that other family, and they brutally just murder that family. Like there is
Why are you laughing, Tim? You're a sick bastard. You know that?
Dude, no, it's even one of those things where like we brought up because we, like I said, we had them on an episode with us, and you sit there and you see something's about to happen, or you're like, hey, why does that person have that weapon? And all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, I know what's going to happen. And then this weapon is used, and then it keeps being used and keeps being used and keeps being used, and you're just like, okay, they're going to stop now. And then it's like, they're going to continue to keep going. They're going to keep going. They're going to keep going. You're just like, holy shit. Like, there's just, yeah. So I think what it ended up being a supernatural, right?
I think it was, I got Alien Invasion.
Kind of.
Ooh.
Because it was kind of
But-
like you see things coming from the sky. It was different.
Yeah. So when they get taken over by these beings or whatever it is, like it's as if they ate like flashlights, and so there's just beams of lights coming out of every single orifice of their body. And once that happens, then they're just I mean, you have lights looking like Iron Man is inside of you trying to come his way out. So let's see, there was a mom, a dad, 2 brothers, and a sister, and so they just go off on these family members one by one, and like, you know, it also messes like mentally with them as well, you know, like that. There was a scene with the brother and the sister, and you're just like, I don't know what to do in that situation. And then, you know, but yes, hosts.
All right, cool.
That's a good one.
All right, what's number 4?
The Killing Tree. This one actually just came out. It's I don't know if you've heard of.
Just to correct myself, number 3. That was 4 there.
Oh yeah,
I'm just losing track of numbers. It's fine.
I was like, we can do honorable mention for number 1 if you really want.
But yeah, it's The Killing Tree. It's directed by Reese Frake Waterfield. He's doing Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Oh, right.
That comes out in the theaters. That guy,
Awesome.
yeah. In this movie, though, there's a woman who, like her and her boyfriend, husband. I wasn't really sure what their relationship was exactly, but like they were murderers on a murder spree like a year prior, and then he gets put to death. And then she does this like black magic thing to bring him back with a Christmas tree somehow, and he gets turned into a Christmas tree.
Oh, I love it.
And he's a killer Christmas tree, which he would normally be really cheesy, but it's actually like the cheesiness actually like works well with the characters involved. It's really fun.
Yeah, this is a pretty new one. This is 2022.
Yeah,
having a look at it.
I think it just came out like last week.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
this is the
I would
most
definitely check
excited
this out.
I've been for anything you've said so far that I've not already seen. I'll take Killer Christmas Tree.
Yeah, it's super fun. It's like there's moments where like what is it? He loses his way and he has a map because he's trying to find something, and then he loses his map and like he's lost, and it's just funny to watch him bumbling before he becomes the killer rampaging Christmas tree.
Oh yeah, it looks like it's on Tubi, so I would definitely be checking that out.
Of course, it's on. It
That's a
sounds
good one.
It sounds exactly like the sort of movie that will just randomly be on Tubi. All right. Okay, we're getting like high up in these numbers now. So, number 2.
I got Krampus.
Ah, okay.
Dude, as soon as I know it came out however many years ago, but as soon as I heard that they were doing that, I was like instantly went and got the DVD and everything. And I was like, oh, so I have an 8-year-old son. And I'm like, I can't wait till you're old enough for me to say, watch this, kid. This is what's going to happen now. You know? Krampus, great. You know? Yeah.
Honestly, it's probably not like it's not. I mean, obviously there's the R-rated cut that came out later, but I would say the original cut is probably fairly safe to show. Not like a super young kid, but like I think you could show it to a kid.
Oh no, I want to show like
No,
the DVD where it's like there's no whole bar. It's like, oh yeah, remember that kid that just got murdered right there? Yeah. Oh, you're gonna try to hide underneath that truck? Sorry, kid. Krampus doesn't play around. He knows where you are.
I remember. I don't know. I feel like I remember this being fairly little. I mean, obviously there was death and stuff, but you know, it was fairly light. Huh?
No, I think it was pretty. You know, that whole scene where they're trying to, when the kid gets to the fight with the family, and so he takes off running. The entire like town is fogged over, and he's trying to find anywhere to go, and this monster's chasing him. You know,
yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna hide underneath the truck," and it's like, "What the hell? Under a truck, huh?"
Yeah, I don't think it was like I don't think it was super gory, which I think is maybe what you're getting at, Pete. That like yeah, there's not like a bunch of like nudity and, and blood and stuff, but
I guess in my head I'm remembering it having more of a sort of Gremlins-y tone than like a hardcore.
I think in some instances, but then I also think there were parts that were kind of like
okay,
freaky,
fair enough.
But
it's been a while. It's been a while since I watched it. I do remember liking it though.
Yeah, I do think that's a fun movie. Yeah, I like. This is director Michael Dougherty.
Yeah.
Yeah, he usually makes pretty fun stuff, and yeah, I think that was a good one.
Yeah, no, it's a fun movie. Really good vibes. It was nice to have a big Christmas movie come out and like a big Christmas horror movie come out in theaters that year because they don't necessarily all get big releases. So, that was the bright
like,
side to having Adam Scott and like some other big actors in it.
I forgot he was in that, and like Krampus was such like a. I don't know if it's kind of like still hanging around, but I feel like there was a couple of years where it was such like a zeitgeisty thing. Like Krampus was just a thing that kind of popped out of nowhere, and like people would talk about. And then I feel like everyone's just kind of waiting, like, okay, who's gonna be the first person to like make the horror movie about it? Which yeah, I think there's been like a couple of different Krampus movies.
Oh, there's
like,
been tons of them, Tim.
Then, but yeah,
as far as cheap, like asylum level movies go, there's been like 50 Krampus movies at this point.
Yeah, yeah, I'm glad that we got like a decent one though. That's a fun one.
Oh yeah, cool. All right, number 1. Let's do it.
Number 1 is the sequel to Once Upon a Time at Christmas, The Nights Before Christmas.
Oh,
where
okay.
yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Claus are back, and this time instead of the 12 days of Christmas, it's the naughty and nice list.
Ooh,
and
nice.
Which kind of like, I feel like the naughty and nice list was like a nicer touch because you legitimately have no idea what's about to happen. There's really no like 2 people are gonna die or 3 people are gonna die or 4 people are gonna die or whatever. So like that was cool, and like they really do kind of like tick up the gore and like the bodies pile up. And they do it. Yeah, and like they do it in like a big fashion. Like it comes off like really good.
All right, cool.
You really root for the bad guy.
Oh yeah, this time you actually really like the mental patient who plays who is being Santa.
He's not a lot. He ripped his own teeth out and wore metal teeth for years, man.
I mean, it's not that strange when you think about how people sort of react to the later slasher sequels where they kind of root for Jason or Freddy. So I mean, yeah, why not?
Oh yeah, that's one.
I was just looking it up on my phone as well, which looks like that is on Tubi also. So I would definitely be, or at least the first one was, which I assume.
Yeah.
Hopefully the second one is, but I mean, if not, I'll see if I can find it. But I
think
mean,
it's on Peacock.
oh, nice.
Yeah,
Oh, perfect.
Peacock.
So I'll definitely be checking those out too, because that sounds pretty good. Actually,
No.
I'll probably try to get to everything on the list, honestly.
The director for that was Paul Tanter, and Simon Phillips plays Santa.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in the Killer Tree movie, and I think this pair does sound quite interesting and up my sort of B movie alley. So that's really cool. Tim, is there anything that you're surprised did not? And maybe it's just because they've not seen the movies, admittedly, that you were about to mention. But is there anything you're surprised that, or were hoping that would come up that didn't?
Well, I think there's two biggies that weren't mentioned, which of course would be Christmas Evil. That's that's a big one. So that's one we did on the show probably a couple years back now, but that's a pretty fun one. It's, I mean, typical killer Santa movie, but I think there's a lot of fun to be had with that. Fun kills and just kind of like a batshit ending, which is really
batshit
fun.
ending and a pinch a taxi driver in the way his story is told. Just a pinch a taxi driver.
And then and obviously a big one. I mean, maybe you kind of mentioned it already, Pete, but Gremlins, which
sure.
I think maybe people think of it more as a kids movie or a comedy, but I think the first one is like horror-ish.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair.
The first one's darker.
Yeah. I would.
They said that old lady flying through the
window. I would throw in one of my sort of newer kind of like wacky favorites. Tim.
Jack Frost.
Oh no, I do love the first Jack Frost though. The first Jack Frost is hilarious. Not the Michael Keaton movie, the actual horror movie about the killer snowman. Just to make that clear. And it's only like a year before the Michael Keaton one, so it's really easy to mix up the two in your head. But no, Dial Code Santa Claus.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Which was a French movie that came out 2 years before Home Alone, and it's like a more sadistic version where the guy breaking into the house is like this evil, like deranged guy dressed as Santa, and the kid has to like protect himself, and the kid loves American action movies, so he like does like a lot of like traps like inspired by American action movies. It's a wild little film. Like I can't recommend it. It was on Shudder for a long time. I don't know if it's still there, but it was there before. It's also really called actually I think the title on Shudder was Deadly Games. It's got a couple of different titles, but Dial Code Santa Claus is the one that I always remember because it's the most distinct sounding. But yeah, I would give that a shout.
And did we do Bloodbeat last year?
We did, yeah. That was the samurai one.
The samurai Christmas horror movie.
The samurai Christmas ghost horror movie, yes.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
It's I'm going to watch this tonight.
Bloodbeat, yeah. Definitely a little strange. That was one of those ones where some label put out the Blu-ray and Tim's like, hey, we need to do this, and we just ended up doing it last year. So yeah. And obviously, who can forget Garbage Day? Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 deserves a special place in everyone's heart for one of the most memorable scenes in movie history. Yeah. Whoa. Someone got a call or a text.
No. Add a note.
For Bloodbeat. That's the Bloodbeat note. Yeah.
But do you guys want to go over any like honorable mentions or anything else that just off the top of your head?
I can mention one because I think I had like one that I was gonna add, but it just wasn't quite amazing. Was Red Christmas. It's
for sure.
Hold on. Can I just guess? Can I guess? Is this about Soviets?
No.
Oh, damn it.
I think
this is
I watched
Australian or New Zealand.
I think so.
Yeah.
I know it's the same lady that directed it is the one that did 13 Fanboy, which is it's basically like 13 Fanboy is like all people that have been in Friday the 13th movies playing like real life versions of themselves being murdered by somebody who like is obsessed with Friday the 13th, and it's the same. Yeah, it's like directed by her, but like it just feels like so like Lifetime wholesome like family interactions that I just didn't. It was weird for me how that squares up with like a murder horror movie.
Oh yeah.
Like I just couldn't get there.
By the way, there's like 3 movies with this title. One of them stars Dee Wallace from 2016.
That's the one.
Is that the
That's
one?
the
Oh,
one.
okay.
Yeah.
Directed by Craig Anderson.
I thought it was. Yeah, I think it might be.
Okay. That's what threw me off.
Yeah, it's got Dee Wallace in it. Yeah, then
okay.
that's the one.
This is the one then. Yeah, but there's like 3, and they're all like pretty close. One's 2014, this one's 2016, and there's a 2018 one. So people like that title. I bet one of them's about Soviets. I guarantee one of them is.
Nostrovia.
Oh dear. How about you, Brian? You got some honorable mentions you want to throw out?
Well, I mean, they really stretch. You know, really stretch. I mean, Home Alone's probably just scary because that little kid's alone by himself, and there's men trying to break into his house and do who knows what to him.
I mean, it's very scary in the incompetence of the police department in Chicago. I mean, I'll say that much.
Right? Well, I mean, is it just a shithole place in there? I mean, we got a friend from there. He's like, "Oh, dude, the crime up there is nuts." And I was like, "All right, so you come to Vegas where, it used to be nuts, Then there's the funny ones of what It's a Wonderful Life, where there's those goats that come at that guy. I'm pretty sure his ear got hurt when he was younger. That guy slapped him in it. That's always,
I'm surprised no one's like done like an updated like horror version of It's a Wonderful Life. You got It's a Wonderful Knife. That's it.
That's a good idea.
Think, Dave Chappelle did that version on his show.
Oh,
You guys don't know what I'm talking about, right?
was it with the was that with the girl that like had too big of breasts?
Yep. And she's like, "This is what it would be like if you didn't have him growing up." And all of her friends were making fun of her and everything. Yeah. And then it turned out that he was just a janitor high on PCP. See?
Yeah.
I like that version. Right? Best version that could ever be made, actually.
Yeah. Pete has no idea what we're talking about because he just like watched, I don't know, like Father Ted or something growing up.
I did watch Father Ted, but I mean, I don't know why that's directly being paralleled to the Chappelle show, but sure. Yeah, go on.
There's got to be some connection.
Yeah, well, no. I mean, I definitely heard some movies that I've not heard of before tonight, so that's nice. That's kind of part of the hope when you have guests on to do a top 10, especially with like a topic as specific as this. You hope for some weird entries that you haven't heard of, and I definitely got a few of those, so that was fun. So yeah, well, thank you two for coming on the show, and
Thank you.
Yeah, having some Christmas cheer with everyone for the month of December.
Well, Pete, aren't you forgetting something?
What am I forgetting?
You're supposed to think of a movie, a B movie that you enjoy to suggest to our fine guests.
I mean, Dial Code Santa Claus was a pretty good recommendation, but I'll well, what's yours? You can go first.
All right, so I'll just throw this out there because I just adore this movie, and any chance I get to bring it up, it just fills me up with so much delight. But Neon Maniacs is like the kind of like B movie I always like to throw out there to people if you haven't seen it. Is just totally like batshit insane. Like the plot like makes no. It's a really like fun, cheesy 80s. I don't even know what you call it. I guess like monster kind of slasher movie, but it's just the plot line is so like ridiculous and makes no sense that I highly recommend it. It's like about these like interdimensional monsters that like live in an ice cream truck under the Golden Gate Bridge that like come out and haunt people. And I always refer to them as kind of like a demon. Yeah, and they're kind of like a demonic village people because like everyone has like their own shtick. Like there's like a Native American guy and a samurai guy and like a army guy and like just this weird like one-eyed monster guy. But
should be in G.I. Joe.
Yeah. But that's just it's one of those ones like yeah, I mean, we watch like a lot of bad movies, and especially like like cheesy '80s stuff is like kind of a touchstone of ours. So of our like just like kind of the stuff we enjoyed growing up and whatever. So like there's a lot of stuff, a lot of movies I watch that are like that. But for some reason, this movie just really like stands out to me just because it is so like weirdly out there and like mishmashing so much stuff together that doesn't really work, but in a way that kind of makes it totally work for me. So I'm calling it a B movie, but in my heart, it's like triple A. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, we did that a long time ago. Okay, I do have one actually. Now this wasn't one that we did, Tim. This was one I did on an Ace episode, but it's there's some crossover with horror and sci-fi.
You cheating on me? Other podcasts.
So Extro, XTRO, Extro, is a delightful alien movie where it's like a dad gets like abducted at the start of the movie, and then he just kind of like he seemingly reappears a couple of years later, but it's like this like alien monster thing that comes down, and there's a moment it's kind of weird and it's kind of like got risky at points, but there's a moment where an alien kills a woman, and then the woman who was pregnant gives birth to the fully grown adult man who's returning. And the practical effects in this scene are absolutely fantastic. It is, and that's the moment where you go, okay, this movie's actually not just some trash, it's actually interesting, and there's cool stuff going on here. I recommend Extra.
Cool.
All right.
There you go.
Well, we got like Llama was pretty funny.
Oh, yeah, that was
Llama Yedin.
Llama-geddon.
If you could just think of what that would be, then you were correct. That's exactly what it is.
Well, obviously, everyone should go check out the Berated B-Rated. Oh, sorry, the Berated B-Rated Movie podcast. I'll say it the right way around. And obviously, you can support our content by going over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and support us all on a monthly basis and keeping all the content coming. You can like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications below the video, and of course, if you listen to the audio version, give us a 5-star rating on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts from. So is there anything you two would like to like sort of plug as your outro? Do you get one last chance to say something to the audience?
No.
Okay, no. I will say I wasn't planning on doing a ton of Christmas movies, but I guess we found enough content for a whole month of Christmas, so we're going to keep it coming. We're going to talk to the people behind the movies in a lot of these.
Well, that's awesome.
I think 2 or 3 weeks straight of interviews with directors, actors, actresses, producers. Yeah.
That's cool.
Checking it out.
Yeah, we usually release our interviews, or not our interviews, our chats.
Yeah,
it's more of a conversation. Yeah, it's more of just talking on like Wednesdays, and then we release our actual episodes of the movies on Fridays.
Oh, cool. So you can go check out all that. But that is the show. This has been another guest top 10 on Screams After Midnight, which is a kind of an irregular sub-series of our show that we've started doing recently, just because I'm trying to mingle with other people and get guests on the show who do shows. But this has been the episode, so thank you very much. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Keep watching scary movies, and we will see you all next time.